You know what scared me the most? The nurse leaned closer and lowered her voice. It wasn't the old man dying. It was how his wives looked at each other while he was still alive. Jonathan Withmoore was one of the richest men in the country. Private jets, luxury estates, hotels, tech companies. Politicians begged for his support. News channels followed his every move. But none of that mattered anymore because at 72 years old, Jonathan Withmoore was dying slowly inside his own mansion, and everybody knew it. The oxygen tanks beside his bed became permanent decorations. Doctors came and went daily. The man who once controlled boardrooms with a single stare could barely sit upright without coughing blood into a handkerchief. But strangely, the most dangerous thing inside that mansion was not his illness. It was his family. 3 wives, 1 empire, and billions waiting for somebody to die. The first wife, Victoria, walked through the house like she already owned everything, and honestly, maybe she believed she did. "I built him," she would always say. When he had nothing, I was there. The staff feared her the most because she was always calm, too calm, even during arguments, especially during arguments. Then there was the second wife, Naomi, loud, smart, aggressive. She had 2 daughters and believed that automatically gave her more right to the inheritance. "My girls are educated," she snapped constantly. "They understand business better than anybody here." And finally, the youngest wife, Camilla, beautiful enough to make people stare when she entered a room. Camilla had 1 son, Ethan, the only male child, and that single fact changed everything. Jonathan adored that boy. Everybody saw it. The way he smiled whenever Ethan entered the room, the way he talked about continuing the family legacy, and every single time he said those words. Victoria's expression darkened. I remember one dinner night clearly. The tension was so thick nobody even touched their food. Jonathan was upstairs resting while the wives sat downstairs pretending to be civil. Then Naomi suddenly dropped her fork. "I hope everybody understands my daughters deserve equal control of this company." Camilla laughed softly. "Equal? Your daughters can't even run one branch successfully." Naomi slammed the table. "At least I gave him children before you trapped him with a son." The room exploded instantly. Voices, insults, threats, and through all of it, Victoria sat there quietly sipping wine, watching everybody carefully like she was studying them. Then finally she spoke. "You all entered this family after the success," she said softly. "You met a billionaire. I met a struggling man sleeping in a tiny apartment." Nobody interrupted her. "I sacrificed my youth for Jonathan Withmoore, so if anybody deserves that inheritance," she smiled, "it's me." Camilla rolled her eyes immediately. "You gave him loyalty, not a family." Silence. Complete silence. And I swear, for 1 second, Victoria looked like she wanted to kill her. Not argue, not insult, kill. But then she smiled again like nothing happened. That same night, Jonathan secretly called his lawyer. Nobody knew except one housekeeper who overheard part of the conversation. "I need the papers finalized," Jonathan whispered weakly over the phone, "before it's too late." A will. He was finally preparing his will, and somebody inside that mansion found out, because 3 nights later, Jonathan Withmoore collapsed beside his bed, and by morning, the billionaire was dead.